Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we'll be talking about solo queue in Overwatch and some tips to be a better teammate, win more games and hopefully escape the dreaded ELO hell. Right, so the first thing I want to talk about is having a working mic. In a game like Overwatch, you simply can't compete without communication, and that's because it's too hard to carry in the game. I would actually argue that it's impossible. That is of course unless you're Seagull, but if you're in ELO hell, you're not Seagull. Having a good quality mic that doesn't output static will help anyone enormously. Be sure to make sure you're in the right channel as well. Having a great mic and the ability to talk to anyone is fantastic, but if you're in the wrong channel, no one will hear you. When you do talk to your teammates, you've got to make sure that your attitude is friendly and open and that your picks and calls are done with a "we're in this together" kind of attitude. If you don't, in my experience, most people in solo queue will react badly. The one thing you don't want to do is create toxicity within your team. You won't win any games like that. One of the things that lower level players never really seem to think about in my experience is how important ultimate stacking is in Overwatch. It can be the single most important thing you do in a game. And if you don't have a mic and you're not talking to your teammates, you'll either waste ultimates or waste the opportunities to combo them to win more games more easily. Despite a video I made called Death of the Death Ball, a proper Lucio speed boost and Reinhardt shield is still one of the most powerful strategies in the game, but you'd be surprised how many people just ignore it, or worse, don't understand how it works. If you have a good microphone and you're interested in communicating with your teammates, you can relay strats that can help your team win. I know this seems obvious, but in my experience, most people around level 50 to early 60s don't talk in game. They do their own thing and they think if they're getting gold medals, they're doing their job. The thing is about Overwatch is that synergy beats everything. Better communication and better team fighting will win you more games even against higher skilled opponents. So if you don't have this first component, you can just ignore all the others because it won't make that much of a difference. The second thing I'm going to talk about is never auto-pick a hero. Auto-picking heroes is generally a sign that a player doesn't have a diverse pool, especially if that player automatically picks DPS, or in worst case scenarios, picks Hanzo. It's much better to start at the hero select screen and discuss openly with your team what strats you're going to run, what heroes you need, and who's going to fill each role. Your best character might be a DPS, but if the team needs a good healer, play healer. If the team needs tanks, play a tank. All of the tips I'm going to share with you today are about better team play, and that's the hardest thing to achieve in solo queue. Auto-picking is generally a sign that people aren't interested in playing in a team. You should be wary of people who auto-pick and don't communicate, so don't be one of those people yourself. The third tip I want to talk about is being open-minded, and that has to do with your attitude towards the game. As I mentioned before, you need to build a team that works, build a working comp, and to do that, you need to not make assumptions about what your teammates can or cannot do. You need to communicate with your team at the hero select screen. If they tell you that they're a really good DPS, there's no need to not trust them. Let the early exchanges of the game inform you of that. Don't be toxic yourself and don't react to criticism in a toxic way. There's no point persisting with a pick that isn't working, so you have to be open-minded to change when you need to. If you're running a death ball setup with a Lucio, but the opposing team has taken a Junkrat and is crushing your team's shield, then you need to realize in-game and be open-minded enough to make the change that you need to. If you're very set in your ways and have a shallow hero pool, you won't win many games. That is just a fact. The fourth tip is add people that volunteer to play a role for the team. As I've said before, teamwork and synergy beats carry in Overwatch, hands down. If you do find people in solo queue that are willing to work with you and will communicate and will play a hero that the team needs, not their favorite hero, add them immediately. The more good teammates you pick up, the more games you'll win. It's as simple as that. I want you to go away from this video realizing that playing as a team is the single most important thing in Overwatch competitive mode. In solo queue, that's the hardest thing to achieve, so you need to do everything that you can do to make sure that that happens. Remember, the other team that you're playing against is in the same position as you. If you have a better team comp, you're communicating more, and your team is less toxic, you will probably win the game. And the fifth tip is a more general tip. Always work on widening your character pool. The more heroes you play well, the more you'll be able to win. The more flexible you are, the more roles that you can fulfill, the more different types of players you can play with. Some people try to impose their game on solo queue. This is my character, this is who I play, you guys can fit around me. Your McCree might be your best character, but if your team needs a Lucio and you tell them that you can't play healer, you're wasting their time. As I've said before, if you have amazing supports, you can get away with average DPS. If your team is working together, you can set up ultimate stacks, you can push together at the right time. Everyone knows defense is very difficult in Overwatch. The more organized you are, the better chance you stand on attack and defense. This is something you should be doing in your own time, always. If you're playing competitive mode, you should always be looking to improve. The more you play other characters and other roles in Overwatch, the more you understand what you're asking of your teammates when you ask them to make a certain pick. It's no good being the sickest Zarya in the world, having no microphone, not communicating when you're going to do Graviton Surge, and your team doesn't follow up. There's no point using High Noon without asking for a shield. If you follow the tips I've just outlined, you should find yourself winning a lot more games. The single most important thing to realise is that it doesn't really matter how individually good you are, it's how well your team performs that wins you games. If you're one of those people stuck in ELO hell and you think it's because of bad teammates, you could be that bad teammate. If you're inflexible, if you have no mic, if you're toxic, you could be making things worse for yourself. If you follow the tips I've outlined, you'll be a much better teammate and win more games. I guarantee it. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you'd like us to cover anything specific in a future video, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comment section below. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.